Are you thinking about selling your home? Well, in this video, I'm going to go over the 5 best strategies to make sure you sell your home quick, even if you're not using an agent. Really quick, before we get started, my name is Evan. I am a local realtor. I help people buy and sell every day. So if you're thinking about buying or selling in the Cincinnati area, I'd love to help you out. My information is on the screen, or you can check the link in the description to book a call with me. I'd love to answer any questions you may have. But in this video in particular, you're probably watching it because you might be wondering, how can I sell my home without using an agent? Most people want to avoid that commission that they give to agents, and that is totally understandable. I do work with a lot of for sale by owners, actually, and really I like to help them out as much as possible. And so in this video, I'm truly going to give you the 5 best strategies I think there are to sell their home. There's probably more than 5. I mean, there definitely is more than 5. There's a lot that goes into it that you may have not thought about. So I'm going to stop rambling and we'll get on to the first one. All right, so number 1 is going to be strategic pricing. Now, pricing is the biggest factor when it comes to determining how quickly your home will sell or if it will sell at all. Obviously, I'm sure everybody can imagine that if you have a home that's worth, say, $200,000 and you list it on the market for $1 million, I don't care how good your marketing is, how good your photos are, how long you let it sit on the market, how many open houses you do, it's not going to sell for anywhere close to $1 million, right? So pricing is the biggest thing. There's a lot of other things that are important that we'll talk about, but we've got to start off with the most important. The strategy that most realtors will use is first looking at comparable homes that have sold in your area, in your neighborhood. You do not want to go to too broad of an area. Once you start getting out to like 2 miles, 3 miles plus outside of your home, you really are starting to bring in homes in areas that may not match the same dynamic of the neighborhood you're in. Now, you'll know best, obviously, because you're the one that lives there. And if you're in a more rural area, you might have to go out farther. But for the most part, in a city where you have a bunch of neighbors on your street and on your right and left, you really want to try to stay at a 1 mile radius maximum. And personally, I like to start off, I'll do a 1/4 of a mile, see what I can find there, then a 1/2 mile, then 3/4, then a mile. Because if I can get enough comparable properties, ideally you want to have at least 3. If I can get all 3 of those in a 1/4 of a mile, then that's what I'm going to use because that's the closest to your home. Something else you want to keep in mind though, when you're looking at these comparable homes sold is how many bedrooms do they have? Ideally, if your home is 3 beds and 2 baths, you want to use a home that is also 3 bed and 2 bath. However, you're probably not going to be able to find all of the homes that are going to be 3 bed and 3 bath. So sometimes you might have to go to, sorry, I said 3 bed, 2 bath, not 3 bed, 3 bath. You'll probably have to go to maybe use a 4 bed, 2 bath, or it could be a 3 bed, 3 bath. Keep in mind when you take those into account, you need to adjust for what that home does have that yours doesn't, or vice versa. So I'm not going to get into the formula. There is a formula that appraisers use actually when talking about a home that might have another bathroom, for example. But typically what you'll want to do is don't add or subtract value from your home. You want to, yours is the baseline. So you have the 3 bed, 2 bedroom, 2 bath home. You want to find, if you find a 3 bed, 3 bath home, you want to add to that. So if that makes sense, let's say you look at all these homes in the area and you're like, okay, it looks like roughly the homes that have an extra bathroom are selling for 10 to 15,000 more. So you'll keep that in mind. If you conclude that your home might be worth between 275 and 300, maybe take a 10,000 off if you don't have the same amount of bathrooms or bedrooms, for example. I know that was kind of a rant there, so I won't stay on this topic too much longer, but just keep in mind too the condition of your home. That is probably the one thing that I see is the most overlooked thing when it comes to pricing your home that I see for sale by owners do a lot. They'll look at a comparable property, it'll have the same square footage, same amount of bedrooms and bathrooms. They're thinking, oh, well then mine must be selling for that too. But that one is completely brand new, completely remodeled top to bottom, and your home might have not had a remodel in 10, 15, maybe 20 years. So that's another thing you have to keep in mind. You want to put yourself in the buyer's mindset. If they walked into that home and they walk into your home, they're probably not going to pay the same price for both those homes. All right. Number 2 is going to be professional photos. Now, I understand most people that are wanting to sell their home on their own are doing so because they do not want to pay a realtor commission. So I get that you probably don't want to pay a photographer to come and take professional photos of your home. So I do have a sheet that has tips on how to take good quality photos with your cell phone that I give out to a lot of our sell by owners. If you're interested in that, just comment below photos or something of that nature, and I'll make sure to send that to you. But I highly recommend taking professional photos. And the reason for this is there's so many studies out there that show the benefit in doing so. In fact, one study says that 90% of buyers start their home search process online. And honestly, that study was done a couple years ago, and it was either 2022 or 2023. I would have to imagine that number has only increased. Most people are going to just look online when they're searching for a home because they want to see photos of it. And that's how they determine if it's something they want to go see further in person. Another study found that 98% of buyers said that the photos they saw made a difference when deciding to view a home or not. So even if you don't want to pay a professional photographer, make sure you have good lighting, make sure the photos aren't blurry, you don't have a bunch of clutter in there. There's a lot that goes into it. Again, put yourself in the buyer's point of view. If you saw a photo and there was a ton of dust on the table or something, and there was just clutter everywhere, and it was kind of blurry and it was really dark, are you really going to look through all those photos and be like, yeah, I want to go to that home? Probably not. And so that kind of leads me right into number 3. They kind of go hand in hand, and that is to declutter and or organize. So when you think you're about ready to sell your home, it could be a good idea, go room by room and just try to declutter and organize as much as possible. In a lot of cases, you might need to get a storage unit, or maybe you have a family member or a friend or some garage space where you can store these items, but you really want to take a lot of stuff off. I mean, you can see here I have like a jar with pens and like sticky notes and things like that. Honestly, if I was selling my home, like none of that would be out. It sounds silly, but one way I've heard it put, and I kind of think it's true, is you almost want to make it look like no one lives there in the home. Or think of, maybe you've gone and toured a model home in like a new construction community. The way those are staged, there's furniture, there's rugs, and there's some paintings, but you're not seeing family photos everywhere. You don't see like cups and plates and like, I don't know, you don't have fan gear like the Bengals gear laying around. Like, not all of those are completely necessary, but the more you can do, the better. You want to help the buyer envision themselves living in that home. So if they see a lot of family photos or just a lot of things that would make it feel like your home, they may not be able to envision themselves seeing it as their home. All right, and number 4 is timing. So this really applies to more so when you put your home on the MLS, but Zillow has done studies on this as well. I know a lot of for sale by owners, they put their home on Zillow, so this rings true for Zillow as well. And that is timing out when you want your home to go live. So we'll just use Zillow for example. The best day to put your home live on Zillow is going to be Thursday or Friday. In my personal opinion, I would rather do Thursday, even like a Thursday evening, say at like 5. I haven't listed a home on Zillow. I would imagine you have to submit it to them and they might take a day or 2 to review it. So I don't know if you have full control over when it goes live, maybe. But if you do, I would highly recommend, like I said, Thursday evening or even Friday morning. Thursday evening is the best in my mind. If it goes live at say 5 p.m. on a Thursday, people are getting off work, they're doing their search, and they might see some homes that they want to see, so they'll text them to the realtor. Now Friday rolls around, the realtor is scheduling the showing for Friday evening or even Saturday morning. And really what you're doing is you're just generating interest, building a lot of interest, so that hopefully you get a lot of showings on Friday and Saturday and even Sunday. And a lot of times you can get overlapping. If you price it right, you'll get overlapping appointments. So a potential buyer will come in and they'll see another potential buyer already there, and that's creating urgency, because now they're thinking, oh my gosh, like there must be a ton of people that are interested in this home, and if they want the home, they're already talking to the realtor like, we're gonna have to ask over asking price. So it really drives urgency. You can list it on Friday morning as well if the market you're in, if the homes are just going super quick. Most likely the realtors have already told their buyers like, hey, we gotta act quick. So they might be looking Friday morning like, all right, we're going to see this in 2 hours, for example, right? And that kind of a bonus tip here. The more flexible you can be with your showing times, the better. If you have your showings only available for like 2 hours out of the day for every day, not a lot of people are going to see that home. But if you're able to be flexible and you've done the other steps right, you really only have to be flexible for a weekend. So maybe you plan something to do on that Friday and Saturday and Sunday, and then Sunday evening rolls around. You don't have to do any more showings. You can just review your offers. All right, and tip number 5, the final tip. You might have guessed it, as I did mention I'm a realtor, but I would say if you've done all of those and all else fails, using a realtor truly is worth it. And I'm going to explain why. So before you click off, I hear you don't want to pay commission. Well, the truth is the stats show that most of the time for sell by owners, they do end up paying commission to the buyer's agent anyways. Most buyers are using an agent, and they are typically expecting the sellers to pay that commission. Now, of course, when it comes to commission, all is negotiable. So if you truly don't want to pay it, you don't have to, but just keep in mind that could limit your pool of buyers. Something else you could do is if you truly don't want to pay it and your home is listed for say $300,000 and the agent is asking for say $5,000 in commission, they could just offer $305,000 to you and have you pay them the $5,000. So you're still getting $300,000 you want it, and their agent is still getting the commission. So it works out for the buyers, and they're essentially financing commission. There's a lot of workarounds. And again, it's all negotiable, so I don't want to harp on that too much. But the benefit of using an agent is this. NAR, which is National Association of Realtors, did a study. They do one every year. I couldn't find the one from last year. I know it's out there somewhere, but I'll just use the 2023 example. Every year it's pretty similar. In the example they had in 2023, the median sold price for sell by owner, so someone that did not use a realtor, was $310,000. The median sold price of a realtor listed home in 2023 was $365,000. So you're looking at a potential $55,000 loss by just not using a realtor. Now, of course, I get it. That's a median, so that's going across all price ranges. And the reality is, if you have a $310,000 home, a realtor is not going to magically make that appear to be $365,000. But the point is, realtors have a lot more reach when it comes to marketing. Of course, everybody knows the MLS, but we get a broad audience of buyers. Me especially, I do deal with a lot of relocation buyers because of my channel focusing on Cincinnati. I actually had a fellow agent at my brokerage just last week. He had 2 offers on his listing, and neither one of them were from Cincinnati. One was from Florida, one was from Texas. So that's something that for sell by owners aren't typically gonna get. Another thing to keep in mind, when you go to Zillow does not necessarily put for sell by owners on like the front page or anything, right? Zillow is also showing homes that appear on the MLS. So when somebody's just scrolling Zillow, unless they go and click on the filter to where they only see for sale by owners, which not many buyers are doing, they're not necessarily going to see your listing. Um, a lot of times in my area, I see homes that get a couple thousand views, but homes on the MLS, you're talking about 20, 30, 40,000 in just a day or two. So um, realtors really do have a broader reach. Of course, it all depends on the realtor you use. Some might use different methods of marketing, and of course, they're all going to have different strengths. Some might be good negotiators, some might not be. So it definitely pays to interview your agent, and I am going to have a video on that of what questions you could ask if you're at that point. But if you're not at that point, that's totally okay. I hope that those 4 tips prior to this were a help to you. And again, I have a guide on a lot of things for sell by owner. I have open house guides, how to take pictures well, staging guides, a lot of it completely free to you. So if you're someone who's thinking about selling their home and you would like that guide or any of those guides, even if you're not in the Cincinnati area, I'd love to send that over to you. Just comment below or shoot me a text or email, and I'd love to help you out. All right, so that was the 5 strategies to sell your home quick. I really hope that you enjoyed the video and that hopefully at least one of these tips will help you out. If there's another video that you would like to see me make on a certain topic, please let me know. Otherwise, thank you so much for watching, and until next time.